The ground trembled beneath my feet as I pried open the rusted hatch, unleashing a gust of air that smelled like forgotten centuries and whispered secrets from the stars, secrets that would unravel my soul and reshape the fate of humanity. I never believed in curses. Not until that day. My name is Jack Harlan, and I was just a washed-up asteroid prospector scraping by on the fringes of the Orion Arm colonies. Earth was a distant memory, a polluted rock I'd left behind for the promise of riches in the void. But riches never came. Instead, I got debts, a busted ship, and a lifetime of regrets. Then the letter arrived. Holographic seal flickering in the dim light of my hab unit, it bore the insignia of the Harlan family crest, a stylized pickaxe crossed with a comet tail. My great-uncle Elias, whom I'd never met, had died alone on some backwater moon called Erebus Prime. And he'd left me everything, his claim, his equipment, and the infamous Harlan mine. Why me? I muttered to the empty room, staring at the coordinates embedded in the message. Erebus Prime was a forsaken lump of rock, tidally locked to a gas giant that bathed one side in eternal daylight and the other in perpetual night. Miners whispered about it in dive bars, ghost stories of vanished crews, strange lights in the depths, and ore veins that bled like living things. But I was desperate. Creditors were breathing down my neck, and the mine's last yield report showed traces of iridium and something unlabeled, something valuable enough to buy my freedom. So I pawned what little I had left, chartered a rickety shuttle, and set course for the edge of known space. What I didn't know then was that the mine wasn't just ancient, it was a tomb, and inside, something alive waited for the first human touch. The shuttle touched down on the night side, where temperatures plummeted to -200 and the wind howled like banshees from old Earth myths. I suited up in my patched Enviro suit, the helmet's visor cracking with static as I stepped out into the frozen wasteland. The mine entrance loomed ahead, a jagged maw carved into a cliff face, framed by derelict drilling rigs half buried in crystalline frost. Elias's automated beacon pinged my comms. Welcome, air. Proceed with caution. The depths hold more than metal. I laughed it off, a nervous bark echoing in my helmet. Caution? I'd danced with death in vacuum breaches and cave-ins before. Grabbing my plasma cutter and grav pack, I descended the rickety lift shaft, the cage creaking like bones under strain. Lights flickered on automatically illuminating walls etched with faded markings, not human script, but swirling patterns that tugged at the edges of my vision like they were trying to rewrite my thoughts. Deeper I went level after level, past abandoned carts filled with glittering or that hummed faintly under my scanner. The air grew thicker, warmer, defying the surface cold. My suit's sensors blipped warnings, anomalous energy signatures, biotraces that didn't match any known life form. Just glitches, I told myself, but my heart pounded like a fusion core on overload. Then at the bottom, level 13, the forbidden depth, where Elias had sealed off access, I found it. The chamber was vast, a cavernous dome unsupported by beams, its ceiling lost in shadow. In the center, illuminated by a soft, ethereal glow from no visible source, stood a pedestal of obsidian-like stone. And chained to it, with links that shimmered like liquid starlight, was her. She was beautiful, impossibly so. Skin like polished alabaster veined with faint blue luminescence, hair cascading in waves of silver that defied gravity, eyes closed in what looked like serene slumber. She wore a garment of iridescent fabric that shifted colors with every breath. Wait, she was breathing? My scanner confirmed it. Vital signs stable, but alien. Utterly alien. No human could survive down here without life support, yet she stood there, restrained by those chains as if waiting. For me. But that was only the beginning. I froze, my breath fogging the visor. First contact. The words screamed in my mind. Humanity had probed the stars for centuries, found ruins on dead worlds, echoes of extinct races, but never a living alien. Not like this. She was humanoid, yes, 2 arms, 2 legs, a face that could haunt dreams, but the proportions were off, elegant in a way that made my chest ache, taller than me by a head, with fingers that ended in delicate, glowing tips. The chains weren't metal, they pulsed with energy, holding her in place without visible locks. What are you? I whispered, stepping closer. My boot crunched on loose gravel, and her eyes snapped open, irises like swirling galaxies pulling me in. She didn't speak, not with words. Instead, a wave of emotion crashed over me. Curiosity, loneliness, a desperate hunger for connection. Telepathy? My mind reeled. I'd heard theories about psionic fields in fringe science vids, but this was real. Images flooded my thoughts. Vast starships sailing nebulae, cities of light on worlds I'd never imagined. And then darkness, betrayal, exile. Stay back. Her voice echoed in my head. Soft yet commanding, laced with an accent that evoked ancient winds. You are the first, the harbinger. But freedom comes with a price. I stumbled, clutching my helmet. How? How are you here? This mine, it's been sealed for generations. She tilted her head, chains clinking softly. This is no mine human. It is a prison. I am a Lara of the Ethery, chained here by my own kind eons ago to await the rise of your species. You have come as foretold. Now decide, release me and ignite the stars, or leave me and doom your world to isolation. Doom? The word hung in the air like a blade. My scanner beeped, radiation spiking, but not harmful. Invigorating, almost. I circled the pedestal, examining the chains. They weren't physical restraints, they were tech, advanced beyond anything in the colonial database. Nanofibers woven with quantum locks, perhaps. My plasma cutter might sever them, but what then? Was she a prisoner for a reason? A criminal? A goddess? Curiosity burned hotter than fear. I'd come for riches, but this was beyond wealth. This was history. Destiny. With trembling hands, I activated the cutter, the blue arc hissing against the first link. As it snapped, a surge of energy rippled through the chamber. Ilara gasped, her form shimmering. You have chosen, she projected, her mental voice now laced with gratitude and warning. The bond begins. What I didn't know was that the bond would entwine our fates forever, pulling me into a cosmic war I was never meant to fight. The chamber shook as the last chain fell away. Dust rained from the ceiling, and hidden mechanisms whirred to life. Holographic displays erupted around us, star maps, alien script scrolling in frantic patterns. Ilara stretched, her limbs graceful as a dancer's, the luminescence in her skin brightening until the cavern glowed like daylight. Thank you, Jack Harlan, she said aloud this time, her voice melodic, echoing off the walls. How did she know my name? The telepathic link, of course. It was strengthening, threads of thought weaving between us. I felt her exhaustion, the weight of centuries in stasis, and beneath it a core of unyielding strength. Who chained you here? I demanded, lowering the cutter but keeping it ready. And why wait for humans? She glided toward me, barefoot on the rough stone, unbothered by the cold. Up close, her beauty was intoxicating. Eyes that held the depth of black holes, lips curved in a sad smile. The Ethery are ancient wanderers of the void. We seeded life across galaxies, guiding young races. But I defied the council. I believed in unity, in sharing our knowledge freely. They saw it as chaos. So they exiled me to this barren rock, your Erebus Prime, programming the chains to activate only when ascension from the sector, your humanity evolved enough to find me. A test for both our peoples. A test? My mind raced. Humanity had colonized dozens of systems, built warp drives, but we were infants compared to this. And if I hadn't come, then I would remain eternal guardian of forbidden truths. But you did. Now, the signal has been sent. My people know. And others, darker forces, will come. Darker forces. The words sent a chill down my spine colder than the surface winds. I glanced at the holograms, red icons blinking, approaching from the outer rim. Ships? We need to get out of here. My shuttle's topside. Ilara nodded, but her expression darkened. The mine's defenses awaken. Follow me. We moved through hidden passages, her leading with an innate knowledge of the labyrinth. Walls parted at her touch, revealing corridors lined with crystalline tech that hummed in response to her presence. As we ascended, she shared fragments of her story through the link, visions of ethery spires piercing cloudless skies, debates in grand halls where minds clashed like thunder, her banishment amid a storm of psychic fury. But midway up, alarms blared in my suit. Seismic sensors off the charts. Cave in. I yelled. No. Ilara replied, her voice calm but urgent. The Guardians stir. From the shadows, mechanical sentinels emerged. Spider-like drones with glowing eyes, relics of her people's tech. They skittered toward us, lasers charging. I fired my cutter, severing legs, but they adapted, shields flickering on. Ilara raised a hand, and a pulse of energy erupted from her palm, disabling them in a shower of sparks. They are programmed to contain me. But with you, the bond amplifies my power. We burst onto the surface, the gas giant looming overhead like a judgmental eye. My shuttle waited, but scanners showed incoming vessels, 3 colonial patrol ships, drawn by the energy spike, no doubt. They're here for the mine, I said, powering up the engines. Or for you. Ilara settled into the co-pilot seat, her presence filling the cockpit with a faint, floral scent that shouldn't exist in vacuum. They sense the anomaly, but they are not the true threat. The void hunters, rival exiles for my kind, they will follow the signal. They crave the knowledge I hold, the key to transcendence. Transcendence? The word lingered as we lifted off, dodging surface turrets that had activated in our wake. But as Erebus Prime shrank behind us, I felt the bond deepen. Her thoughts brushed mine, revealing glimpses of human history through alien eyes, our wars, our triumphs, our fragility. What I saw next in her memories changed everything. We jumped to warp, the stars streaking into lines of light. Safe for now, or so I thought. Ilara turned to me, her galactic eyes searching my face. You regret this, Jack? I shook my head, but doubt gnawed. No, but transcendence? What does that mean? She placed a hand on my arm, her touch electric, sending waves of warmth through the suit. The ethery mastered the merge of flesh and cosmos. We can ascend beyond physical forms, become beings of pure energy. But it requires a catalyst, a bond between species. That's why I was exiled. I wanted to gift it to emerging races like yours. The Council feared it would unbalance the galaxy. So I was the catalyst, the first human contact. Pride swelled, mixed with terror. What if it destroyed me? Us? Hours passed in the cramped cockpit. I shared my life, losing my parents in a mining accident on Luna, drifting through colonies, always searching for purpose. Ilara listened, her empathy a balm. You are not alone anymore, she whispered mentally. Our minds entwine. Feel it. I did. Emotions flowed freely. Her isolation, millennia of waiting. My loneliness, a mirror to hers. It was intimate, deeper than any human connection I'd known. But as we approached the neutral station of Nexus 7 for refuel, a transmission crackled in. Unknown vessel. This is colonial security. Energy burst detected from Erebus Prime. Surrender for inspection. They knew. How? Ilara's signal. Perhaps intercepted. We can't dock, I said. Evade them, she urged. Head for the Veil. Nebula. There I have allies. But evasion meant running from the only home I knew. The colonies would brand me a traitor, a xenosympathizer. Personal stakes skyrocketed. My freedom, my identity, all tied to this alien beauty. We twisted through asteroid fields, patrols in pursuit. Laser fire grazed our hull, sparks flying. Ilara channeled energy through the bond, boosting shields in ways our tech couldn't. Together, we are stronger, she projected. A hit shook us, systems failing. I patched what I could, but we crash-landed on a rogue moonlet, atmosphere thin but breathable. Hiding in craters, we waited, in the silence, under alien stars. Ilara opened more. I was not always alone. I had a companion, Thorn. He shared my vision, but was destroyed by the Council. His essence lingers in me. Jealousy flickered, irrational but human. And now, with me. She smiled, touching my cheek. Skin to skin, the bond surged. Visions poured. Lovemaking under triple suns, philosophical debates in zero-G, the pain of loss. It was overwhelming, addictive. But then, a shadow in her mind. A hidden truth. Something she guarded. What was she hiding? The question burned, but before I could press, sensors lit up. Void hunters, sleek black ships descending like predators. The chase had only begun. We fled on foot across the moonlet's barren plains, my suit's thrusters carrying us in low bounds. Ilara moved with ethereal grace, her feet barely touching the regolith. The hunters' ships hovered, deploying drones that buzzed like angry hornets, firing stun bolts. They're not here to kill, Ilara explained through the link, her mental voice strained. They want me alive, to extract the Transcendence code. Code? So it was data embedded in her being. A blueprint for evolution. I returned fire with my sidearm, downing a drone. Why not share it with everyone? Because power corrupts. The hunters would weaponize it, creating armies of ascended beings loyal only to them. We reached a crevasse, leaping down into underground tunnels, natural lava tubes. Perhaps darkness enveloped us, broken only by Ilara's glow. There in the quiet, she revealed more. The Aethery weren't benevolent gods. Their seeding of life was experimentation, playing with genetics like children with toys. Humanity? A hybrid strain, infused with Aethery DNA long ago. You're part of us? I gasped. Yes, that's why the bond works. You are distant kin. Mind blown. Everything I knew about human origins, evolution on Earth, shattered. We were engineered, pawns in a galactic game. But the revelation came with pain, headaches from the deepening link, visions of ancient manipulations, Aethery ships over primordial Earth, altering apes into Homo sapiens. Why tell me now? I asked, leaning against the wall. Because trust is our weapon. And the hunters close in. A drone burst through the ceiling, scanners whirring. Ilara blasted it, but more followed. We ran deeper, emerging into a vast chamber filled with crystalline formations, echoes of Aethery tech, perhaps a forgotten outpost. There we made our stand. I rigged explosives for my pack, while Ilara wove energy shields. The battle was fierce, drones swarming, lasers scorching rock. I took a hit to the shoulder, pain exploding, but the bond dulled it, Ilara sharing the burden. In the chaos, a hunter leader beamed down, a twisted Aethery, scarred and augmented with cybernetics. Ilara, sister, you found a pet. Not a pet, she retorted, a partner. He laughed, a psychic boom that rattled my skull. Give me the code and I'll spare him. Betrayal tempted her, I felt it flicker. But she refused, unleashing a torrent of power that shattered his form. We escaped, stealing a hunter shuttle. But the victory was Pyrrhic. My wound festered, and Ilara's energy waned. The bond drains us both, she admitted. As we hurtled toward the veil, nebula, I confronted the shadow in her mind. There's more. Tell me. She hesitated, then opened fully. Thorn wasn't just a companion, he was her creator, a rogue AI fused with Aethery consciousness. And the Transcendence? It wasn't a gift. It was a virus, capable of overwriting minds, turning races into hives. The council was right, she confessed, tears, actual tears glistening. I was naive, but with you, perhaps we can refine it. Make it pure. The turning point hit, like a supernova. All this time, I'd freed a potential destroyer. Trust shattered, but the bond held us. Love? Or manipulation? What came next would test everything. The veil, nebula swallowed us, a swirling maelstrom of gas and dust that jammed sensors. Ilara navigated by instinct, guiding us to a hidden station, an Aethery refuge, orbiting a pulsar that pulsed like a heartbeat. Docking, we were met by allies, a cadre of exiled Aethery dissidents like her, their forms varying, some ethereal, others armored. They healed my wound with nanoswarms, restoring strength. But suspicion lingered. Why help us? I asked their leader, a being named Vexer, with tentacles instead of arms. Because Alera's vision is our hope. Transcendence controlled could unite the galaxy against the true threat, the entropy swarm. Entropy swarm? New horror unfolded. A biomechanical horde from beyond the galactic rim, devouring stars, erasing civilizations. The Aethery had fought them eons ago, but they returned stronger. The code can stop them, Vexer explained, but only if bonded to a pure heart. Yours, human. Me? The weight crushed. I was no hero, just a miner with bad luck. Inner conflict raged. Run or embrace destiny. Ilera and I spent days in the station's gardens, biomes of alien flora under artificial suns. We talked, minds merging deeper. Her fears, failure, loss. Mine, inadequacy, betrayal. Physical intimacy followed. Tentative at first, then passionate, the bond amplifying sensations to ecstatic heights. But doubt poisoned it. Was it real or engineered? Then the attack. Colonial forces, allied with hunters, breached the nebula. Betrayed by a spy among the exiles. The station shuddered under bombardments. Evacuations chaotic, ships fleeing. Ilera and I fought side by side, her powers augmented by the bond blasting enemy borders. In the command core, Vexer sacrificed himself, uploading defenses. Go. Protect the code. We escaped in a sleek, ethery vessel, warp engines humming with otherworldly efficiency. But pursuit was relentless. A massive swarm tendril emerged, a living ship, tentacles lashing space. The swarm senses the code, Ilera warned. It hungers for it. The chase spanned systems, dodging black holes, slingshotting around stars. Exhaustion set in, the bond straining. Visions blurred. Her memories bleeding into mine, my emotions fueling her. At a derelict world, we hid in ruins of an ancient ethery city. There, the emotional low point crashed. I can't do this, I confessed, collapsing amid glowing arches. I'm breaking. The bond, it's too much. Ilera knelt, her glow dimming. I know. It was designed for equals. Humans are fragile. But I love you, Jack. Not the bond, the you. Love. The word pierced. Tears flowed, human and alien mingling. We confronted the truth. The code could be destroyed, but at the cost of her life. No, I said, we'll find another way. But the swarm closed in, a shadow blotting stars. The final confrontation loomed. We rallied the exiles' remnants, a ragtag fleet assembling at the galaxy's edge. The swarm approached, a colossal entity, minds linked in hive fury, ships merging into a behemoth. Colonial forces joined, misled by propaganda, but seeing the greater threat. My old contacts broadcast pleas. This is bigger than us. Ilera and I stood on the bridge, hands clasped, bond at peak. Together, she said. The battle erupted. Lasers crisscrossing void, torpedoes blooming fireballs. Our ship danced through debris, Ilera channeling energy blasts that tore swarm holes. But they adapted, boarding our vessel. Tentacled horrors slithered corridors, minds probing. I fought with improvised weapons, suit torn, blood mixing with alien ichor. In the core, the swarm queen manifested, a psychic projection, towering and monstrous. Give us the code. Become one. Ilera faced it, amplified by our bond. Never. The clash was mental, waves of will colliding. I lent my strength, human resilience, stubborn hope. Visions flashed. Earth's blue marble, my parents' smiles, Ilera's laugh. The queen faltered. We pushed, the code evolving in real time, not overriding but harmonizing. With a psychic scream, the swarm retreated, tendrils withering. Victory, but at cost. Ilera collapsed, the effort draining her essence. In the aftermath, as fleets cheered, I held her. Don't leave. She smiled weakly. The bond endures. Transcend with me. I nodded, letting go. Our forms shimmered, ascending, not to energy, but a merged existence, minds eternal. The galaxy changed. Humanity awakened, guided by our legacy. And as stars wheeled, I whispered into the void, this is not the end, but a new beginning. The stars faded into memory, but our light endured forever.